Finals, it's time for our second set of the day, which is still best of three, and it's between Envy and Clown Fiesta, also fighting on their last leg.
And it's that area again where you lose the first map and you start to feel, I want to say a little bit more shaky, but having those 3 games, we just saw that last set go all the way. So I expect maybe something a little bit similar. Clown Fiesta, the first day looked kind of shaky, but since then have really solidified in their play.
It's the team that we don't know as much about from the viewer perspective unless you're tuning into PGS each time.
Yeah.
And then the fact that when you add Unbelievable so close to when the land happens, you wonder, oh, how is that going to go? And a bit rocky in the beginning with communication, but we saw them really pull things together in the last couple of sets that we witnessed.
And that's one of those things, even when you are watching them, this is something that's been the discussion for a lot of the PGS teams. You get 2 weeks in a month that you really get to see them play. And for Clown Fiesta, you do actually get to see them go all out because Europe is really highly contended. When you're looking at teams like Burrito or SSG, it's a lot more of a sweep for them when they go through their sets. So there's a little bit more knowledge, I would say, if you're watching that footage. But Clown Fiesta, like you said, adding Unbelievable and honestly being able to play very flexibly these last couple days has made it noteworthy that they are here.
Yeah, and they're facing off against Envy, who are also a bunch of scrappers that you have to worry about. If you're on Clown Fiesta, you're definitely the underdogs moving on into this. And there's the man himself, Unbelievable, making his impact on that team.
I'm really interested to see how they're going to handle this. Again, Envy, like you said, has had a long history. I mean, they've got a lot of LAN experience at this point, and they are incredibly good, I think, when they get their backs put against the wall. That's usually when we've seen them kind of step up to that next level of play, and so I'm interested to see what's going to happen here.
Some of the players on Envy, we got to have a word with them before this match, so let's listen.
Got Tolkien, got the capital R Monkey coming in hot. Now, I have to ask first and foremost, we saw you guys playing the triple DPS, and Tolkien, you've been the guy who's been flexing onto that third DPS role. How does it feel to kind of go from playing a solid double front into a little bit more flexibility with the damage?
For me personally, it's not that big of a change. Before I started playing tanks, I was playing DPS anyways. So it's kind of something like, oh, I'm going back to my old role. It's just you need to practice more champions as a flex. You have to practice your tanks and the DPS. Sometimes it gets a bit tiring, but overall it's okay.
So one of the things that came up yesterday is we've seen Buck as a high priority pick throughout the duration of this tournament, often banned away, often picked up very early in the drafts, and during the Envy games we didn't see Buck create as much of an impact as we might have otherwise seen. Do you guys feel like Buck might be being a bit overvalued this tournament, and maybe there are some other picks which you could slide in here?
I don't think it's Buck. I think when you get Buck, something else becomes really important because they let you have Buck. So I think before there was a lot of really good stuff that you had to get, and now it seems like there's a lot of traps that you have to really think ahead about.
Speaking of trapped, it kind of felt when you guys were playing yesterday that Na'Vi was trying to kind of outpick and like ban out you almost specifically, trying to force you guys to play something a little bit more outside the comfort zone. Did that mindset ever come into play when you guys were in that draft? And did you have kind of like a oh no moment, or is it just kind of is what it is?
Well, we know Na'Vi knows us really well, and we know if anyone's going to try to catch us out in the draft, it's going to be them. But you get what you get, and if you take the L, you got to really adjust the next day.
With that in mind, guys, do you feel like overnight you've managed to kind of get that adjustment going, managed to kind of reconfigure and heading into this day all fresh?
Well, for today, it's Na'Vi was kind of just like a reality check. It's like they were the ones that actually are pushing our drafts to a point where now we have to be aware of these little cues. If there's this or this ban, then we have to get in our minds like, oh, we need to set up for this instead of our just standard 2 tank and like 2 tank healer, 2 damage meta. Sometimes we have to be looking into, hey, we might have to be setting up ourselves for a triple DPS instead. And we set up ourselves like very well, or it's going to be like a cluster like what happened versus Na'Vi.
All right, guys, then thank you so much. Good luck in your games today, and we'll see you out in the realm in just a few minutes.
Thanks.
2 stellar stars there, ready for their match. And Envy, despite being in the lower bracket, they went back and reviewed things and found ways to improve their performance.
And I expect that today is going to be, again, looking at what went wrong with Na'Vi and kind of anticipating whether another team knows them well enough to do that kind of performance. Again, there was a lot that they had mentioned in the questions that was just kind of like, well, they were targeting you specifically. Do you think that's going to be a problem? They don't seem too worried.
We have our first location for this best of 3 between Envy and Clown Fiesta, Stone Keep.
This is an interesting place to start it off. I normally would think we could see some of the other areas, but Envy picking this one is kind of normal, I would say, especially when you're looking at the teams that they like to play against. If you're looking at Na'Vi as one of the teams that knows them really well, this is a map that they have a lot of strengths on. Na'Vi knows really well, so that could end up kind of translating over to Envy.
And when you look at the players that they have, Random Noob and Rock Monkey being main DPS, when you put Rock on things with the bow or anything where he can really take advantage of some of those lines of sight, or anyone get them up on the balcony to try to control that capture area as much as possible early on, then Envy has been able to make this map really their own.
Going out, and I feel like Envy's bans, they're kind of targeted but also kind of blanket, where it's just like no Drogos, no Genos, we don't want to deal with those. And being able to grab the Fury up first, they don't have to deal with Connor Makoa. This is a really solid start for them.
So, Mr. Hayes, on this Furia, I think one of the biggest things with Furia that everyone has to be aware of is making sure you use that Inflamed in the right way. Some of them, everyone's still getting a bit of an adjustment and how to best utilize that kit, but what we've seen most effective is when you use it as some sort of initiation and even couple it with some of the other ultimates to start a fight, to really kick it off, not when you're low and your team is as well.
And we have seen Clown Fiesta actually topple down Furia yesterday. When Kanga was playing it, it was something that they didn't have too much trouble with. They kind of kept her toppled. A lot of Inflames would end up coming out and not really impacting the fight. So if they can kind of keep that stagger going on, Envy are going to be a little bit more shaken. But I will say Mr. Hayes is definitely someone that's harder to shake out of the zone than I would imagine Kanga is.
On Clown Fiesta's side, they got the Buck, they got the Inara. So point tank taken care of. And Buck, maybe they can't go towards the Genos because that was banned away. And maybe that's something that Envy kept in mind, not wanting to have to deal with any of that amplification.
Being able to sit here, honestly, even losing Inara Buck, I don't know if Envy lose too much that they would want. I'm kind of curious as to whether or not they want to prioritize the Willow again. It's something that we've seen do wonders for a lot of these teams, some teams more than others, and I feel like Envy is in that area where they have had pretty good success with her so far, and being able to go with Leon and Willow, you're going to shut down pretty much all of the healing, which is great to deal with Inara and Buck.
That's why during the last set and then now, you see Leon and Willow coupled together when they're locked in. Not always successful, as we witnessed, but still, the idea is there. You have that anti-heal worked into your kit, and then you also don't have to worry about the opposition Leon, who loves just plucking Willow out of the sky.
And this is in that nice area where Willow likes this map. It feels really good for her seedlings. It feels really good for Dead Zone. It feels really good for her Faithlight. Like, everything about it kind of meshes with where she's going to want to play, and being able to shut down healing if Buck comes around the backside, you can just stop him from doing a lot of damage. You hit him back incredibly hard, and as long as your team turns to look at you, you're going to be safe no matter what. You accompany it with a Ruckus and a Barrack, and this is a lot of aggression on the side of Envy.
This front line for Envy, Ruckus and Barrack, I like it. I like what they're adding to. We've seen Ruckus a few times between G2 and Burrito in particular, and as that often can have a heavy role, not just in the normal tank aspect, but then supplementing that DPS.
I feel like Clown Fiesta got a lot of what they wanted, and that Envy let them get a lot of what they wanted, because Envy have things that are going to displace. Like Inara, Maldamba can be devastating. Buck can be devastating. Having Fernando on the other side can be devastating, but you have ways to kill them, eliminate the shield, eliminate their healing. They don't have a lot to really stand on.
So as far as draft versus draft, do you have anything that you're particularly leaning on of what team you think will take game one?
I think as long as Envy play this the way that they've drafted it, they should be able to take this.
All right. Well, game number one, best of three. One of these teams will go home for good. So let's send it over to the casters.
Thanks, Gabby. Thanks, Gore. It's Team Hair Envy back on the mics for this Clown Fiesta versus Envy set. And, you know, Nick, I'm really happy with Envy's draft. It looks like they're playing more their game rather than trying to conform to what we've seen so far in terms of land meta.
I definitely have to agree with you there. And when you look back at the road Clown Fiesta's taken to get here, they've really only succeeded with 3 DPS. Now, granted, I don't know how that set went off stream with Kanga, but what I've seen, they're really, really enjoying the fruits of the 3 DPS composition. At the same time, normally I'd say, you know, this is a great comp from Clown Fiesta. They're very bulky, a lot of healing to go around. They got a Buck as well, but you got Leon, Willow. And that's able to shut so much down, as well as they have so much lethality on top of that. Their frontliners hit hard. Their support hits hard. I mean, it's all there for Envy.
Oh, and look at that fire strike going through immediately. High ground taken initially by Clown Fiesta, sending the Inara up. Unbelievable, traverses ground, but does get brought down very low. Shield will save for the time being. Random Noob looking for an avenue of entry, but is being forced out so significantly. Nice heal from Mr. Hayes. Can they find the heal onto Random Noob? They will, and Random Noob picks up first blood.
That was so good. I can't even understate that. Just fluttering straight up into the corner not only buys Random Noob time for him to receive that heal from Mr. Hayes, but it confuses Clown Fiesta and gives him the angle to get that first blood.
33% therefore on the point for Team Envy and Rising right now. Alex is trying to find Rock Monkey here, but Rock Monkey's having none of it, and Team Envy continue to hold the objective. Clown Fiesta being forced back, but here we go. K Crunchy picks up Random Noob. That's a big one. That opens up the point fight for Clown Fiesta to move in, and they are now able to contest. We're going to see a disengage from Team Envy here, Nick.
Box so much map control for Clown Fiesta at the moment. That's what Envy need to change. If they can get their Willow posted up on this balcony of the Keep where Clown Fiesta are currently enjoying, this is going to be a completely different team fight. But right now, they are struggling for map control.
The problem is Alex has just been sitting there on this block being a constant threat. And here we go. Random Noob tries to force Exdentra off the
Dead
point.
zone.
So low, but here comes the heal from Maldamba. Dread Serpent as well. Random Noob goes down. Unbelievable. Rock Monkey can engage here. He's got the Enlightenment. Tolkien very low as well. Cherish heal not quite enough. No Inflame available just yet. Mr. Hayes finds one. Rock Monkey has got to find this Inara, but they're just not using the skills right now. Looking this time for Balkan to cut off the head of the Hydra, and they will find Maldamba. That is huge.
Not even the best dive target right now because he's got Enlightenment. Luckily, Alex is able to mitigate most of that damage thanks to some loadout cards, but it's still 2 kills for Envy. This Inara, no support. Insight, Hexafire on the point. Will force the Immortal. Quick cancel from Rubu and the duck out.
Beautiful disengage here because look, Stone Shield to follow up from Tolkien as well. Now moving in, Random Noob and Rubu clean up too as well. Looking for a third one. K Crunchy in a lot of trouble. Random Noob doesn't even need to contest the objective right there as everybody's been forced away. And Clown Fiesta come through defeated Team Envy with the cap.
Rock Monkey and Random Noob combining for 2 down the stretch there. Very back and forth out of the gate. You have to say, you know, you got to question the strength of schedule, so to speak, for Clown Fiesta. They haven't had to face a PPL team yet, Vox. This is the first one they'll go up against. That was my main question mark. And, you know, they come out of the gate, they don't get the payload, but that was a very valiant effort.
It really was. A couple of little misplays here and there, though, which will lead them into potentially opening themselves up for vulnerability as well. Rock Monkey finding a couple of picks here is very big. Volker's just going to retreat back into base, and 1 minute and 46 seconds left on this defense. Clown Fiesta have got to find a way to make it out of base and look to hold.
Ultimate's starting to come back online for Envy. Remember, they've already used a couple of big ones. Clown Fiesta have as well, but their ult charges are not nearly as bountiful as Envy are. The Fae Flight is available. The Inflame is available, and it's going to come out, actually. Buck Wild comes through, but scaring him off almost immediately. Rock Monkey has been on point and keeping a lid on Alex.
And that's so critical, because when Buck Wild is activated, Buck just wants to free fight him instead. Forced a recovery. Look at this. 3 members stuck in base. Umby's going to try and get there, but chewed through by Random Noob in the air as nobody's focusing down on the Willow. That's a 2-0 for Team Envy already.
That's a really good Fae Flight as well. There's no direct hit scan counter. This flutter right here, so big. Look, they have no idea. They had no idea.
Wow.
Random Noob gets juiced back up, 2,000 HP from that heal from Furia. And that is a beautiful turning point for Envy to an otherwise pretty shaky first fight from them.
Yeah, it didn't look too good to begin with, and again, a lot of that was just to do with the fact that there was some flank pressure that came out from Unbelievable on the Fernando just being a nuisance, and then Alex was always rooting for this Leon throughout the duration. You know, Random Noob was able to get in on Willow a little bit, but Rock Monkey wasn't able to find much pressure on the Leon until they forced out the Buck.
He's 7-0 now.
Oh yeah, certainly is, and didn't die that entire time. Top of the damage charts, Nick, as well. Look at these items too.
That's pretty wild, and itemization is a funny thing to focus on. I think Envy, this composition starts out so strong out of the gate. They don't need items, and they still lost that fight, which is what worries me a little bit about Clown Fiesta once Clown Fiesta get those COTS and those records online.
Problem is that can only really come on with a mid-round buy so far here. K Crunchy does activate the scout, looking for a pick here. Oh, Random Noob in a lot of trouble. One more shot will do it. Cassie finds the mark. Tolkien retreating now as Mr. Hayes goes down to Alex in the back line. Rock Monkey boxes out once again. Here's the Enlightenment, doesn't even need it, but K Crunchy cleans up Rock Monkey as well. That's a big deficit for Team Envy right now as Clown Fiesta, they're capturing with comeback mechanic.
That's a big shutdown as well, Vox. 52% on the scout. It's not the most impactful ultimate in the world, but anything is going to help Clown Fiesta at this point. You did mention the comeback mechanic. They have blazed themselves an 80% to 0 lead as Envy scramble to get back on the objective.
What a pyre strike from Mr. Hayes there, but it's just not enough. The headshot from Alex will dome down Furia on the objective. We did hear Dome Shield activated. Tolki still alive right now, so Team Envy trying to wrestle for control right now. Unbelievable does have Immortal if things go south, but they're out and looking for Random Noob right now. Taking too much poke, has got to retreat for the time being, but Clown Fiesta, here comes the scout, they're ready to re-engage.
It's still an issue of map control for me, though. Envy haven't been able to get this Willow up on the highest points of this point fight yet. Alex gets a big kill on a Rock Monkey there. The Immortal keeps Envy alive for just a couple of seconds. Do Clown Fiesta have the legs?
Oh, they might be in trouble here, though. Unbelievable goes down. Rubu's a big tanky. Ruckus picks up the double, looking for the triple kill. The missile's not even necessary. Excentra will clean them up as well. Tolki about to go down, and it's a triple for Rubu, but a double for Excentra. Can they find a triple of their own as Rock Monkey gets slayed? Back-to-back triple kills. I don't believe it. Willow tries to go in with Fayfly to contest, but Umbi is back and ready. Clown Fiesta at 99% will tick on through, and they try and even the scoreline up now 2-1 in favor of Envy.
A tale of two front lines here. Unbelievable, and Excentra bring that back after a beautiful triple kill from Rubu on the Ruckus. He brings himself from 4-4 to 7-4, but it's still not enough. The slash lines, they are pretty, but don't get a twisted box. Envy are on the back foot.
They certainly are, and now they're in a poor position to defend as Random Noob is very low on health. K-Cruncy finds them round the corner with an impulse blast shot as well. Rubu takes the retreat, and with 2 minutes on the clock, this payload is moving unmitigated for the time being, Nick. There's a lot of distance to cover, though. Where are Team Envy going to try and mount the defense, do you think?
Right behind this main choke point, and it's going to have to come off a pick. It always has to come off a pick. The question is, how do you get that? For Clown Fiesta, you have to look at the Cassie bursting someone, softening them up, and then whether it's Fernando or Buck or hell, both can move in and try and clean it up.
Looking at ultimates then, we have got the Dread Serpent online as well as the Seismic Crash for Clown Fiesta. If they can force this through very quickly, Team Envy haven't got much to respond, but as Dome Shield comes up again, we'll have to see if Clown Fiesta are able to bait something out here on this offense to see if maybe they can go into the next point fight a little bit more beneficially.
Alex meeting Rubu up here on the high ground. Here comes a Dread Serpent. Where did that pop? Was that going deep in, looking for the backline perhaps? Clown Fiesta doesn't accomplish much.
Didn't really find much there. Excentra does get one kill onto Rubu, but again, Clown Fiesta with the Dome Shield are being stored out by Team Envy here, so a good response coming through, and overall, with the damage coming from high ground from Willow as well, we're seeing also these Cherish heals hit onto Tolki.
Wow.
That's a lot of defense potential. Inflame has been used by Furia. Team Envy trying to burn one of their more minimal ultimates here to try and hold on. Alex being brought very low. Dead Zone about to come up. Bolka brought so low. Alex going to retreat with the Maldamba as well, and Rock Monkey picks up a double kill from around the corner, finishing off Excentra as well as they reset off the map there, Nick. 35 seconds to go. How did Team Envy prevent Clown Fiesta from closing this gap back to the payload?
Basically playing those same angles that they were able to do there. Now, Envy don't have the most illustrious long-range composition ever, but no one really does. No one really drafts for that on Stone Keep. So playing off the barrack like they were able to do is really the way I think they're going to keep this payload stalled where it is. Again, struggling for map control overall this game. Envy need to keep Random Noob in a good spot. You saw how easy that cleanup was when this Willow is just constantly firing down.
A lot of pressure right now on this peripheral right side of the defense. Unbelievable on the low ground. K-Cruncy up top as well. Umbi gets brought on very low, and up into the air Random Noob goes, looking to be able to dump down the dead zone. Excentra taken out by Mr. Hayes. This should be overtime ticking down unless Clown Fiesta want to invest ultimates or find a pick here, and oh my goodness, Umbi's staying alive throughout all this. If K-Cruncy can re-engage, no, that's the pick that they really need. Rock Monkey finds the front line. Team Envy defends successfully. 3-1 scoreline, Nick. They're poised to take this game.
Pretty early, good kill there from Team Envious. This was the start of the back-to-back triples for the front lines there. Excentra almost ended up pulling out the quadra kill, but it doesn't end up being enough for Team Envy there.
You know, it was really good positioning as well of Rubu. Really good use of just the advance there from Ruckus to be able to dodge the incoming Maldamba stun. You could see that kind of animation playing, and if that had hit, then that could have been a completely different point fight. Still went the way of Clown Fiesta, but overall, Team Envy still proving out they can box the best. Look at the damage charts right now, though. Alex catching up relatively quickly right here on the Buck. Still relatively low, but causing more of a threat, but really it's K-Cruncy that I'm looking at on Cassie, who's doing a lot of legwork for Clown Fiesta.
I think Alex, typically would have a decent matchup here. Leon paired with Rock Monkey, it's not easy for him to fight into. He's doing okay. He's had a good tournament so far. I think we can expect a little bit more from him as he gets comfortable. This is both of these teams' first games of the day, so look for the experience to start warming up for Envy.
Well, Buckwild comes through, but Random Noob has the number. Faithlight in this enclosed space, not the first time that we've seen it so far this tournament, Nick, but that just means that they're an easy pick off for Cassie right there, who's like, she's shooting a pinata at that point, and that will be Clown Fiesta taking 50% and rising on the point with Comeback Mechanic in hand, looking to close this one out as Rock Monkey might be sent back to base here.
You know, Vox, you're really seeing the downfall of this Team Envy's front line here. In every single one of these initial fights, Envy just can't get any map control. Barrick and Ruckus are not good at map control. Fernando and Inara, on the other hand, some of the best in the business.
You got a stronghold, you got good aggression. Right now it does have the retreat coming in from the side of Clown Fiesta as Team Envy did use Inflame, but here we go. Alex was able to disengage, re-engage onto the Willow, take him out, and now boxing out 1v2 versus Furia and Rock Monkey's Leon. This is Clown Fiesta's point to lose. On the objective, Tolki is still contesting, but as soon as the front lines return, it's a completely different story.
It's falling apart. Clown Fiesta are just cleaning up Team Envious at the moment. They will return for Tolki. He drops the Dome Shield. That's a big commitment there, and it doesn't cut anything.
I mean, you want to pop that if you're trying to hold off, especially with a Furia returning, maybe when you're sitting at around 3/4 of your health, because Inara's just going to waddle on into it, place down her Waters Field, and try and deal the damage anyway. And, well, Clown Fiesta, they get the second capture in a row, 3-2 in favor of Team Envy still, but Clown Fiesta does have the opportunity to equalize here if they can find the neutral push, Nick.
You know, Vox, that is a play for that Barrick to do that. But not given the context of that scenario. These two the two Clown Fiesta frontline, excuse me, Fernando has just infinite cleave, so he doesn't care about the Dome Shield as long as he's under it. And they're both so healthy, so it doesn't matter for them. They can both just go under the dome and fight Barrick there. You can't do that in a stressed situation when it's not a 5-on-1. But it was a 5-on-1, so as a result, that Dome Shield doesn't accomplish much.
Pretty tricky situation coming around again. And as Clown Fiesta close in on this payload push, we're looking to see if Team Envy can mount another defense in this sort of archway, which you can see in the middle of your screen right now. But critically, the last time they're able to stall out Clown Fiesta in their tracks, they had Dome Shield available. That's no longer available, and as you can see, Team Envy are using other big cooldowns, big resources like the Faithlight to be able to try and stall out this Clown Fiesta push, Nick.
There it is, the cooldowns coming out from Willow, the Seedlings, the Dead Zone. It's all been used to try and keep this Inara at bay, which is accomplished for now. 111 on the clock. This payload within striking distance. If Clown Fiesta can take a decisive win in this fight, they might be able to do it. That's a great start.
Really big play right there. Tolki about to drop as well. You can see the Rock Monkey's trying to just barrage unbelievable. And what a save from Mr. Have. This Cherish Heal coming in big. Nice Dead Zone as well. Locks out 3. Clown Fiesta wisely retreat. Excentra's going to take the fall, and I think everybody else will try and reset here. As you can see, Volker just jump off the edge, and Rock Monkey finds 3.
Sometimes you just got to clutch up. You know, Rock Monkey finds the 3 killing blows there, but Paul does arguably as much, if not more work. I think he maintained great angles, and even when he wasn't able to maintain great angles, specifically right at the end there, he's hitting big shots. He is staying with and above Rock Monkey, but you have to definitely tip your hat to K-Crunchy here, who's been able to lead the pack.
K-Crunchy now sitting on a Wrecker 3, as well as that Rejuvenate 3 on Cassie as well, Nick, as we have Clown Fiesta coming back to the point. We'll talk about that maybe in this next mid-round break, but would like to take a look at that in a second. Meanwhile, though, it's unbelievable. Trying to put some pressure onto Tolki here. Barrick half health, but back to full again. That's the power of Furia. Dead Zone locking off the main entrance as well. Rubu finds one already, and with the powerhouse Cassie picked down, this is probably going to go the way of Team Envy's defense here. I mean, maybe Alex can get a big pick, but Dead Zone's just shutting him down. Yeah,
Paul's been really good about keeping a lid on Alex, and this is, you know, you have to, just for a second, talk about that last set we saw. This is why you had to avoid picking Buck into the Leon, into the Willow. This is why G2 picked the way they did. Fnatic ultimately were able to counterdraft, pivot, go around the Willow and the Leon, but we're seeing how effective all of that innate anti-heal can be.
Absolutely, and this time around, Nick, well, there might be the anti-heal from Dead Zone, but we remarked earlier that Cassie's picked up an early Rejuvenate 3.
A lot of them, quite frankly.
What's that doing for the side of Clown Fiesta when they're playing in this much anti-heal?
It's just fighting against it, man. There's 90% innate on this Leon. A couple of members more picking up the Cauterize. We could take a quick peek at these items before we get into it. It's just fighting it back against it. 90% at Cauterize 3. Rejuvenate stacks additively against it. So essentially, Rejuvenate 3 will subtract 30% off that 90% anti-heal, for a total of 60%, which is a lot more room to work with.
Oh, big split coming through right there. You thought that maybe Team Envy were going to be cut off by that impasse wall, but actually it's Alex who gets caught out. Volker under fire now as well from Random Noob and Rock Monkey, who are looking for the picks. K-Crunchy very low, tries to get a safety, but gets blasted down by Rock Monkey for the double kill. Down go the ceilings as well. Volker surely to fall here. One more shot will do it, and Random Noob might just be able to get out safely away from Alex on the buck, which they do. Team Envy in control, 33% and rising. Nick, how does Clown Fiesta find a way back in?
They got plenty of ultimates to work with. A big one, though. Immortal is down. They'll have the scout to just try and get those entry frags, make sure they spot out flanks like this one right here. Rubu isn't going to pull any fast ones on Clown Fiesta. They have two great initiations. There's one of them. The Dread Serpent comes out. What'll it find?
You've got to be very careful right now. As up on the high ground, it is Cassie trying to take control. Volker being barraged, though, by these Ruckus missiles. That's something that you have to be very careful with. Random Noob one shot away from death. Excentra picks them up. Now Rubu goes in, but immediately finds three where I don't think he expected it. Out comes Buck Wild as well. Tolkien decimated on the objective, and at 99% for Team Envy.
Wow.
Clown Fiesta resume their control, and they still have Seismic Crash.
5-for-1 exchange. And you know what I have to say about this Clown Fiesta team, Vox, is how impressive they are with their patience. So many inexperienced teams will rush bad fights and extinguish any hopes they might have at taking big fights off of good teams like Envious. Clown Fiesta, maybe it's Unbee's experience rubbing off on the rest of this roster, but they have got something special going that they did not have day one.
Random Noob now in a lot of trouble. Team Envy back on point, back in control. Here comes the Seismic Crash to try and start things going. Rock Monkey trying to barrage down unbelievable shields. That's a big pick, but Volker's found Tolkien as well. That's unusual. And Rock Monkey slides straight into Alex. Enlightenment is enough for the double kill there. 50% ult charge refunded. Might not even need to use it as Random Noob in the air finds a double kill of their own. And that is overtime ticking down. That is overtime ticking down again, apparently. And 99 to 99%. 3-2 to Team Envy, ticks over to 4-2, and that's the first game win.
Just a damn good effort by Clown Fiesta, but a little bit better from Team Envious. The experience from the boys who start with R, Random and Rock. They hold it down, a couple of clutch double kills down the stretch.
And the big turnaround moment on that final point fight, the Enlightenment into Alex on Buck right at the end there. If that had gone the other way,
right,
if Leon had gone down, then maybe there's a way to clean up the Willow in the air.
He bulks back up, and then he rips through the back line.
Absolutely. He does a lot of things like that.
Is that your brain looking for a pun?
That's my brain looking for a pun, but there's not one that I can say on broadcast here, folks. And then he bulks up. All right, folks, it's time for the desk. What do you think of that? How did that all break down?
Well, I think Envy, of course, congratulations for the victory, but Clown Fiesta still had a lot of that fight that we witnessed from them in the last couple matches.
I'll admit, I'm kind of surprised with the fervor that they went at it with. Like, they came into this a lot stronger than I thought they were going to, and a lot of what they had in their draft worked well for them, but it was in those areas where they showed excellent patience, where they were showing like point capture with comeback mechanic. Once the comeback mechanic was lessened, Envy was able to come back for that one last fight and push them out again. I think that really made the difference in those two rounds.
Crunchy leading the damage charts the entire time as well on that Cassie. The way that they used their frontliners to really dominate the actual map. But on the opposite side, you had people like Rock Monkey that were doing Rock Monkey things for Envy.
Wrote down his slash line at the end of that game because it was very important. So you see the 21, you see the 6. His assists was also 21. He was 21, 6, 21. He was doing immense amounts of work. And at the tail end, he makes a big play as well, getting rid of the Buck in a position where most of the time Buck would normally get a kill right there, being able to just dash back Enlightenment right into his face. There was so much that he did that was just having that, again, kind of patience while simultaneously being aggressive in the right moments.
Well, and that's why I love the aggressive graces, for instance. They weren't just using escape mechanisms, but he could seamlessly thread together kills on 1 or 2 on one side, grace and completely angle for the next kill, and then just grab it up, and suddenly the majority of the enemy team was gone.
And a lot of what went right for Envy again was this shutdown of healing that they had. Nick had mentioned that Rejuvenate is kind of helping cut through, taking that 90 down to a 60, taking Willow's 100 down to a 70. But it's still one of those things that coupled together, you're losing a lot of healing all around, and you have champions that are oriented on their ability to stay alive when they're getting that healing pumped into them or they're healing themselves. So as long as they took the right fights at the right moments, which Envy did, they could come out on top, although I think it was a little closer than even they expected.
They did seem a little frazzled and perhaps not expecting Clown Fiesta to put up that much of a fight. And the way that, as the caster said, there was patience executed for Clown Fiesta that led to those moments of getting a team wipe, a 5-for-1 trade, an early capture on the objective. Yeah. Those bringing out those ults like the Dome Shield at one point that was a bit hasty and wasn't going to turn the fight in any way. Clown Fiesta had no problem trying to initiate those engagements.
And being able to reply, there was one moment where you have Ruckus come in, gets a triple kill, everything looks like it's going great for Envy, and then Xintra on Inara, of all people, is the one who returns that with a triple kill for himself and just enables himself on the point. And it's moments like that where it was just, you could tell Envy were thinking, this should be easy. We can go ahead and sweep it up, go in, get a couple kills, no matter what. You have to make the play, I want to say every time, no matter who your opponent is, as though they are going to be able to beat you. And that is, I think, some of those moments you could see come through from Envy where it was maybe too aggressive there just because I think you felt like you had this fight no matter what. And underestimating anyone will give them that advantage.
But going into game number 2, I'm sure they'll keep that in mind and think, okay, in some points that was a little too close for comfort on Stone Keep, but maybe next going off to Bright Marsh, it'll be a little different. And Bright Marsh has some similarities, but much more congested, and you have to account for the enclosed spaces.
I have to give credit where credit's due. Clown Fiesta have been insane on Bright Marsh. The last couple of days where they've been able to kind of play on this map, it has looked phenomenal from them. And knowing that this is also going to be their map pick, it's just one of those things that Envy kind of needs to prepare themselves for this. Like, it's one of those things that maybe you've had some control, maybe you are the favored one coming into this matchup, but this team has looked phenomenal on this. So as long as they've done their homework, you might be able to chop it down a little bit, but there have been things Clown Fiesta have pulled off here that you really haven't gotten to see in a while.
Especially if you're going against Clown Fiesta and they do manage to come out of the draft with a triple DPS that's really strong for them, then that is something to worry about. Because that last game where they had double frontliners, that's not necessarily their cup of tea just from our viewing standpoint of what we've seen from them. Their strongest play comes out of those aggressive compositions.
Being able to set it up. I kind of expect bans maybe to go similar. I'm curious if Clown Fiesta want Willow or they want to ban Willow away, because I feel like Envy might lean towards her again. And Nara has been huge for Clown Fiesta here, and just being able to control that room makes such a big difference. You put Dead Zone in there, and most of the time Inara's not going to have anywhere to go.
And there's those little windows that you can peek through as well for things like seedlings and all that. But Clown and Envy, a couple bans underway, Drogos and Makoa. Nothing too crazy there, especially when you're going against Envy and then you know random noob wouldn't mind picking up that Drogos. You might as well take it away. And then the Buck as well.
I'm kind of curious as to where Clown Fiesta want to go with this. I expect this will be Khan. Actually, no, it's going to be the Genos coming down from Envy.
So Khan is up and open. Ooh. Do you think Clown are going to just try and take it right off the bat for first pick?
I mean, if they don't, I have a feeling Envy's going to scoop it up immediately. That's one of those things that if you have a good Khan, which most teams at this point really should, he can make a big difference. There are going to be similarities to, I want to say, like Ice Mines that we saw earlier in G2 Fnatic, where sometimes he might not work out, but you can't really run the risk of letting the other team have him and letting it work out for them versus on your side. So they're going to go for it. There's a couple of key places he can throw people off the map, but a lot of this is, again, control. It really helps shut down things like Bomb King.
And then Furia, nice and up for the first pick for Envy alongside Leon. The thing also, Envy, I'm sure they had a feeling Khan was going to go first on the opposite side. Khan typically is paired with another frontliner, so maybe often just thinking that's the direction that they'll try and lean towards with this.
I mean, it's one of those areas. Clown Fiesta has been favoring Inara in a lot of their games. I mean, Unbelievable loves Inara, so it's not too surprising that that's something that they would go for. And in this kind of instance, you take away the Furia, you give them Khan, you ban out the Genos, you give them potentially Inara as well. Then no matter what support they go, they're going to have two sources of healing onto someone who you know is going to be standing individually on the point, which is why I expect Envy to use things like the Leon to try and help shut that down. They're kind of driving Clown Fiesta towards a certain draft. It's a little risky with some of the things they give away, but for the most part, they keep control.
Moji, maybe. It's a hover right now. We have not seen a single Moji in any capacity so far this LAN. One of the missing ones. But it's going to be Nando. Sad day.
I was kind of hoping for it. But
Just
this is a lot more of what I expected. I was a little curious because I was like running through my head. I was like, what could possibly go on with Moji here other than the execute that's going to make her worthwhile? A lot of damage. Bright Marsh is actually a good map for her. But I feel like Fernando, Scorch, having Brand, having a lot of that damage that he's going to have off of his Fireball alone is going to be great. Willow, anti-heal. That is the name of the game right now for Envy, and I feel like Clown Fiesta kind of play right into their hand.
Xin and Bomb King, that's the main source of damage from Clown Fiesta. So it's up to them also to try and take care of the Willow, particularly the Xin to do that, and the Leon. But Barrack is the last one for Envy. What do you think of these drafts?
I mean, Envy pretty much go with what they had last game, except now they've traded Ruckus for Fernando. So everything looks pretty solid for them. I, again, love the anti-heal that they have. I think Fernando is a much better pickup for them because once you put that on Rubu, it is insane. So I'm expecting a lot more moments from Envy. Again, kind of driving Clown Fiesta towards that. Okay, you go Inara, you go for Maldamba, you can have the con. Your healing's not going to mean anything to us.
Clown Fiesta's been a pleasant surprise for many, but Envy are trying to push towards the victory of the set. Casters, take it away.
Thanks so much. I mean, Envy right now, they have not just a hot team with the Fernando, but a super hot team with the Force of the Pyre behind them with Fury as well. Clown Fiesta not looking too bad here, but Team Envy in the comfort zone.
Absolutely, and where this goes, not wrong, but just questionable for me for Clown Fiesta is this early Xin pickup. When Cassie is available, we've seen Alex have a phenomenal performance on it. It's one of the very few games I've seen Cassie go unpicked, unbanned, especially when Rock Monkey, Kate Cruncy, Alex are all in the conversation. Hell, even Random Noob used to play Cassie back in the day.
They just value something else a little bit more, and it will be the Xin, and of course it will be the Willow, which is the really big one here as well. Looking at the legendaries coming through, firing line for Khan, of course, as normal. Pretty much standard from what we've seen throughout the rest of this LAN as well. Tinker and Barrack Nick. An initial point control not actually being really contested here. Clown Fiesta get 3%, but it's posturing around the peripheral right side for Team Envy.
So I'm definitely going to be critical of this Xin. I want to watch just what does it look to accomplish here. Is it trying to dive Mr. Hayes? Is it trying to put constant pressure more than Cassie would be able to put on a backline? So far, obviously, Clown Fiesta hasn't accomplished anything across the board. So
I'm going to be honest with you, Clown Fiesta look kind of wet paper baggy right now. I'm not seeing a great deal of stuff come out of them. There's just not much positive pressure in terms of damage being really elapsed by all of that team. Kate Croncy is diving in, looking for somebody here. Maybe they can pick up a Barrack. Rubu as well could be in a bit of trouble, but it's 93% for Team Envy, Nick. This one's only going one way because there's no way back to the point in time unless maybe Alex can get in there as well and contest for overtime.
Here for Rubu. He does end up going down. Alex tries to get to the backline, tries to get a spite off. Dear God, how does he already have that charge? Can we look at the damage charts? I mean, after getting absolutely rolled over, it's pretty impressive to see Alex at the top of the damage charts and first to his ultimate.
Yeah, but you got a Bomb King at 3k, Nick. That's a bit indicative, sure, as well. Your frontline isn't doing much in the way of damage when you've got a Tinker and Barrack that's sitting in third right now. Shout out to Barrack never being out of the damage charts. But it's the Bomb King that's just not really having an impact that's concerning for me.
Yeah, I've only had to see, you know, we've small sample size of fights so far, and falling flat on its face early. Clown Fiesta need to pick it up. They don't have any games to give at this point. They are fighting for their tournament life, and things are definitely falling apart.
I don't see any way that Clown Fiesta are actually going to be able to stabilize on this specific defense here as well, Nick. Looking at what Team Envy has in the tank, I mean, they've got Enlightenment, they've got Faithlight, they also have Furia's Inflame available as well. But if you want to combine just the Willow ult and the Fury ult together, that's enough to get this payload pushing through. There's no way to defend against that for Clown Fiesta.
Well, here comes the Inflame box. A couple more and ultimates for Envious to work with, and Khan will fall before he can throw Rubu off the map. So Box, all he's done is bring Rubu into a better position to fight.
Oh, see you later, they say. And Tolkien has Dome Shield if necessary as well. Umbi looks for the stun onto Mr. Hayes, but here comes an Immortal in response, and this is just Team Envy hitting the gas pedal in response as well. From Clown Fiesta, though, a nice King Mom does come through, so a couple of picks picked up for Clown Fiesta there.
Wow.
A double for Unbelievable. They are able to hold on, and honestly,
there's still a minute left.
I'm surprised that happened, though, Nick. I mean, it looked like Team Envy were going to push it through, and then slight bits of hesitancy. They're like,
yeah,
we don't need to use an ultimate. We got this, and then they're taken by surprise.
Just barely hanging on long enough, as well as a really good King Bomb from K Cruncy there is going to be the stabilizing factor. This is Clown Fiesta's map pick, so to see them be frankly looking a little bit worse than they did on Stone Keep is not reassuring.
Alex very low in a lot of trouble now. Random Noob about to use Fey Fly, but the look of things goes up into the air. Tolkien ready with the Dome Shield as well. Unbelievable, taking a lot of focus fire. Alex, a big grouping there coming through on the right-hand side. Does go down to Rubu. Tolkien finds Bulker as well. Unbelievable, has no healing, and even though Random Noob is taking some focus fire in the air, it's not enough as Tolkien finds 2. And that should be Team Envy looking for the push here. Excentra about to go down as well. K-Crunchy dives into contest, but no. The payload will roll on through, and that's 2-0 for Team Envy in 4 minutes.
And Tolkien holds on to the Dome Shield, and Mr. Hayes holds on to the Inflame, and Rock Monkey hangs on to the Enlightenment. So a high efficiency offense for Team Envy. They don't have to use a lot of their big resources to get that one through. Although he doesn't get the kill, sick in hand from K-Crunchy there to hit that Willow mid-flight.
Yeah, it's a really good look, but also you got to remember that there's no easy player to deal with the Willow on the side of Clan Fiesta, and as a result, they're relying on one of their primary sources of anti-frontline damage in the form of Bomb King to be focusing on the Willow mid-flight. Not ideal when you got 2 frontlines bearing down on your point in the form of Fernando and Barak as well. 6-1-8 scoreline for Tolkien Nick. Barak doing a lot of legwork so far this game.
0-4 for Alex is in. He had a good start, I suppose. Did a lot of damage, got an early ultimate, but impact in the game. Cauterize 1.
Yeah, that's just not good.
He's got nothing going right now. Nobody to deal with this Willow from Random Noob. Again, I got to bring up the Cassie.
Could have been a better pick here as well. K-Crunchy does find 1 in trade. Random Noob goes down, and a big source of anti-heal being off the board for Team Envy. It's a good look for Clan Fiesta. K-Crunchy flanking here, needs to find Mr. Hayes, but no, Mr. Hayes with the hit scan damage finds that kill before the sticky bomb can be detonated. It's a good look for Team Envy
on the point at all. 0-0, even though Envy are...
Bright Marsh is an onslaught map as well, Nick, so we're just playing some team deathmatch right now.
Brother.
Tolkien's on the point, Barricade is up and ready. Clan Fiesta trying to restabilize right here is unbelievable. Might be able to catch out Rubu. Immortal is ready though, and the easy disengage right there with Chara Shields to boot.
Just going to sit behind this shield, happy, healthy, as his team cleans up as best they can. No overpower. Actually, the overpower does end up getting a kill onto Barrack. Rubu falls as well. Comeback mechanic enabled for Clown Fiesta, and they finally get to supplant themselves onto the objective.
You see, that's the thing I think you have to do with this composition from Clown Fiesta. You have to Fnatic finesse this, which is where you go, okay, well, we're going to lose out on the first point cap. We charge ult, we throw somebody off the edge of the map, and then we just win point because we have an Nara on Bright Marsh. The problem is, that's not what's happening. Here we go, the unbelievable Tri-Slam, the seismic crash does stand out Random Noob. In comes Alex as well, misses the spy, Fey Flight, CC, immunity comes through, and now Random Noob is up in the air, unbelievable, goes down. Alex does find the kill in trade. Here comes K-Crunchy though, King Bomb slamming into the Fernando, and now it's just Tolkien trying to contest. That's not going to do any work. Beautiful, beautiful control by Clown Fiesta.
My goodness, even though the great start from Random Noob, Clown Fiesta is able to hold it together. The comeback mechanic definitely doing its job this time around, as those boys from the EU PGS will go on their first offense of the game.
Nick, there's been some real down-to-the-wire moments so far this set. In that previous one, we saw Buck and Leon trade out. Leon getting the better of that because of Enlightenment on Stone Keep, and this time around, if Willow had landed that one shot into Alex, might have been a different point fight as well, but no, Alex is starting to get the blade swinging, starting to get the momentum rolling. We might see a bit of a retreat here and a disengage as Team Envy are taking control, but once they come back, Clown Fiesta will have mid-round buys and will have been able to equalize that itemization slightly too.
This Pyre Strike, my goodness. Look at the range on that, where that started versus where it finished.
Goes a long way.
Mr. Hayes, beautiful stun there, heals up his homie, and then gets the kill. He is literally doing it all for his team right now. Shout outs to the man behind the mask.
Looking then at the itemization, Nick, as we have seen the mid-round buys come through. Have Clown Fiesta managed to get enough to kind of even the playing field, do you think?
It's going to be close. I mean, they have to hang on here. Obviously, Envy are still in a position to benefit from the defensive point, so ideally Clown Fiesta is able to even up the score here 2-2 just to drag the game out a little bit, but they don't want to spend too much. We've seen that movie too many times where you overspend just to get yourself tied up and then make it all the more easy. Or hell, sometimes you don't even get that offense conversion, and then you're just completely caught out.
Well, you do have overpowered charge up and again now for Clown Fiesta, and that's really the point-winning ultimate for this team composition. They've got to be able to just get rid of somebody like the Barrack very early on in the fight, so I'm looking at Clown Fiesta to maybe make a neutral pick here or there, but I don't see this payload as it's only moved a bare 5-10% so far, making its way to the finish line, unless we can find a big kill. Tolkien goes down to the spite, but Rock Monkey trades out onto Unbelievable, so it's not a good look for Clown Fiesta.
And Random Noob is getting some interesting high ground here. Really the only high ground to fight for on Bright Marsh. Alex finds his way to the back line, but another big Pyre strike from Mr. Hayes keeps himself alive.
And Excentra there, not having the battle shout up and ready, isn't able to provide any source of healing. Alex goes down, 30 seconds left. Clown Fiesta on the retreat again, and Random Noob, who could have been taken out by Umbi, maybe about to go down here in the end. Maybe there's another Cherish. No, Excentra will find the kill, but sloppy plays all around from both sides in that back and forth there.
You know, when it takes you that extra 2-3 shots to burn down that kill, not only are you taking more damage from this kill that you are currently dropping, but you're also taking more damage from all the other sources that are looking at you. So Umbi could definitely tighten up the shots a little bit on the Willow. Last couple of seconds here. Clown Fiesta will start the overtime on the objective, but Vox, they got a long way to go.
They do. Zin back at 60% ultimate charge though, so really with Team Envy having almost all their ults up, Willow going to charge very quickly. If Alex can just get closer to Spite, it's nothing but a benefit right now for Clown Fiesta. I'm worried that they might try and use something to push this one through, Nick, without trying to burn anything from Team Envy.
But Vox, how can you despite without the Zin?
Well, they have the Zin this time.
I know.
The Zin might be into garbage.
Context or not, I had to do it to him.
The Zin might be into the garbage bin after this game, folks, if things don't go Clown Fiesta's way right now. Team Envy find one big pick on Unbelievable. Excentra goes down, no front line left, and that is defense successful for the team in red.
So nothing really spent here from Clown Fiesta, so they're not overextended.
What
just barely he's able to juke out of the way of that one. And, you know, it's good that he got his flutter, because he actually, you know, he shrugged off most of that stun, actually still moving through the air because of that flutter. So
and also crossed over the wall as well, which kept him safe from Alex. Might have been a completely different story if that had been the other way. Umbi are not able to follow up with shots, but so far, really looking good for Team Envy with this Willow play. Damage dealt shots led by Lian first, then Willow. Good to see K-Crunchy has now caught up, however. That was the big deal breaker for me early on, was just dying way too fast to be effective. And he's really starting to be an active participant in these fights.
I actually want to ride along with Excentra here on the con. You know, his impact as first pick for me hasn't been felt. He's 3-9 here, damn near the bottom of the damage charts.
Uh-oh.
What a flex from him. He played a little bit of Cassie yesterday as well, looked so good on it, and now he just looks like a lost puppy. He's battle shouting in a dead zone, no healing coming through, no bonus damage for any of his teammates. Not a good look.
Random Noob as well, should have dead zone up and available any second right now. Need to use the battle shout, need to get out of there. Random Noob looking for the kill, but one more shot will do it. Excentra gets the better of that trade, whilst Rubu's found two already for Team Envy. Clown Fiesta though, they've got the overpower up, they've got the Dread Serpent, waiting for the K-Crunchy respawn. They might be able to turn things around here, Nick.
Yeah, I say you got to start moving this way if you're Excentra. You got to get that overpower off, and you got to throw somebody off the map. Ideally, it would be the Barrack. He is the most obvious target here, sitting on the objective, making himself available.
Right now, though, here comes the Dread Serpent onto Random Noob. Actually, they're just going to deal with the Willow right now, so Excentra prioritizes taking that target out already. Getting a heal back up again, 54% for Team Envy, but it's Unbelievable as Inara on the objective with comeback mechanic. Enlightenment won't find anybody. Down goes Tolki as well to Unbi, and this is a bad look for Rubu, who's caught out with nowhere to go. Fernando with no backup will fall, and that is Clown Fiesta back in control of the point. Nick, how are they going to zone this one out?
Honestly, they're going to throw Alex out here, but I got to give a lot of credit to Bulk. The supports on both sides have been really key. That was a lot of healing that made its way through down the stretch there for Clown Fiesta, and ultimately that's what's going to push them through, give them the legs to go the distance against Team Envy.
All right, re-engagement coming on through. Look at this, Inflame at 94% already. That's the big re-engage tool. They're just looking to charge it before diving on in. Bulk in a lot of trouble here. Can't find the stun onto Rubu. Cut off the head of the Hydra, as I have said way too many times already, but it just doesn't matter as Team Envy go in with all prongs right now. 3-1. This is set point, Nick, in this best of 3. Rubu looking to take this one away, shut it down. In dives Excentra, but Random Noob has their number. And overtime will tick. Immortal just to add insult to injury, and emote on the point.
Wow.
The inflame to boot. I mean, that's how you close out a game.
Plenty of resources left. The favorites clearly in this matchup. Envy will take a solid 2 wins over Clown Fiesta. Clown Fiesta, first land, they did put up a fight. You got to leave your room here, your booth, with your head held high. I think they put up a great fight, a much better fight than we have seen in times past. They made it very, very far for their first event.
And I gotta say, that first game on Stone Keep really came down to that coin flip kind of moment again and again and again. A lot of back and forth fights on the second map of Bright Marsh as well, but Team Envy, they just seem so comfortable with this double frontline strategy. They seem to have solved the difficulty that they had yesterday.
They look solid.
They're not conforming to this land meta anymore. They're playing what they know, and that comfort factor adds so much to a team's performance, Nick.
I'm looking at this Pip waking up a little bit for Fnatic specifically. Bittner was top damage on just about every game he played on it. That's a big power pick for Envy, and when they see it succeeding somewhere else in the tournament, maybe that will spark something in them to maybe start picking it up. Envy could look very dangerous in the draft going forward in today's event.
It's funny how things change. So far, we've seen a lot of the Willow pick be such an impact performance throughout many different teams. Top damage as well as providing great anti-heal as well with Nightshade, folks, but Pip could be a suitable counter if that is banned away. That'll do it for myself and Nick for the time being, though, folks. Desk, what do you think of that set as we close things out?
I do think that Envy were the ones expected to win it and take it home, but as I said, Clown Fiesta should keep their heads held high. They made it really far through, and that's one way to start creating your name.
And there was a lot that really could have gone right, and I feel like Clown Fiesta, again, their drafting style was really good. Envy, you could kind of feel driving them into certain areas, but there were just certain things that they had picked up specifically. Nick had mentioned, like Exentra on the con. Didn't feel like it was that impactful. There were a couple of misplays that came through, and when you're playing a team like Envy, those are the things that they're going to tear apart.
And there were just these moments that were very nuanced that allowed Envy to take a situation that could have worked against them into something. For instance, a seismic crash that could have been enough to just say, hey, Willow, you're not going to do anything right now. But with that mobility and being able to, in the clutch, relocate himself was one way to keep yourself at the win condition.
I know it was a CC immunity. Vox called it as it was. But I loved the fact that there was a point where Willow popped the Fae Flight, and because she does that little spin, it looks like she just spun out of the Spite from Xin. It's just those moments where I think you get those highlights, I guess, with the way things were going. And again, there were several things that really couldn't stop Random Noob. Once he gets up in the air, you have a couple of ways to shoot him down, but he's going to be happy up there. He's going to throw his dead zone down. You aren't going to be able to heal when he's looking at you, and that was a lot of the case where you could feel Clown Fiesta kind of suffering.
Yeah, he played really well on this pick, and Willow took full advantage of the map and completely shutting down those areas. And we saw it frazzle Clown Fiesta. When you're battle shouting in the middle of an area that doesn't allow you to heal, then I would say they're having some kind of impact on your mentality.
And it's in that area as well where it's like, well, let's say you're going for the bonus damage. There was no one to shoot.
Right.
He falls back immediately. So there were just so many moments where it was just, you could tell Envy led the draft into where they wanted it to go and then use that to kind of frazzle you throughout the entire game to the point where you were just too frantic to really beat them.
Well, let's take a look at the bracket and what we've seen. This is the second set of the day. We have 4 today, which means we're actually going into best of 5s, I believe, after that. So Burrito and Na'Vi, the rematch. It's going to be crazy. And then Fnatic and Envy will be playing again.
I am incredibly excited for these next 2 matchups. I feel like it's going to be very interesting because this is one of those instances where not only is it a rematch from the semifinals and Worlds, but if Burrito can win this, I think that will be the first full international team to make it into the finals that we've seen in a long time. And so being able to come here for 2018 and have that opportunity, I think is really big for them. But it's one of those things, Na'Vi were mentioning it yesterday, and I'm sure we're going to hear more from them later on it, but they are excited for it because they're like, we went to game number 7 with these guys, so they're both really kind of ecstatic.
Well, Envy, I'm sure, are excited to be keeping themselves within this bracket. So let's hear it from the players themselves.
All right then, guys, congratulations on that win over Clown Fiesta. First and foremost, I've got to say, you guys were looking really bubbly in here a moment ago. Is there something that's going on behind the scenes that might be related to that at all?
Random put dish soap in the dishwasher. It wasn't me.
You guys.
It was the only thing I could put in there. I didn't know, okay?
You were going to blame me. You were going to blame me.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys, might
Yeah,
be a mess
I
behind the
was.
scenes back in the hotel, but definitely not a mess on the battlefield today. This looked like a very different Envy from what we saw yesterday. Much more comfortable. Was it just going back to double tank that kind of solidified how you were feeling then?
Na'Vi was really smart about how they went about the draft and how they played yesterday, and we took what we learned from them and applied it to what we did to Clown Fiesta and hopefully again to Fnatic.
What are the biggest evolutions you guys are seeing in this LAN meta thus far?
You want to go?
I don't know.
I think really what I've seen is that it pretty much play your style and it'll probably work as long as you're playing better than the other team.
I think almost all the characters are viable, and you can have multiple play styles. Like we see from Na'Vi, they love their triple DPS with Genos, and I think we love our double tank with Furia, Damba, and I really think both play styles are like viable. It just depends on how well you can play it.
So looking forward at your next matchup against Fnatic. That is a team that traditionally likes to play themselves some 3 DPS. You guys, I would say, err a little bit more on the side of 2 tank. Do you have, I'm not going to ask you to reveal which, but do you have a style in mind for approaching that next matchup?
Our style is really what we think is the best chance to win. I mean, we have Tolki, who's like amazing DPS player when we put him on. He's an amazing tank when we put him on that. So whatever we think gives us the best chance to win, we're going to pull out.
All right, guys, so very well prepared behind the scenes as well. And moving forwards, you guys have had the warm-up set today, which we know at events past has been a bit of a success story for you when you're able to play multiple sets consecutively as well. Do you think that now as well that's going to be a big boon to you guys, having played that first set today rather than going in kind of dry?
Momentum.
All about the momentum, guys.
It's all
as well.
about the momentum.
All right, guys, then thank you so much. Once again, congratulations on your victory. We'll see you later as you face up against Fnatic.